You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell.
And as always, thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that wonderful introduction, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. This is part 2 of the WNBA preview for 2026. If you've not seen part 1, please check it out if you're not already, with Brenden Potts. Before we get into this video, there's a few things I want to say up front. Okay. Over the last couple weeks, a lot has happened. WNBA draft was 2 weeks ago. WNBA preseason has officially wrapped up, and trying to keep up with that, trying to keep up with the Maryland women's basketball team as they made some moves in the transfer portal and recruiting. Been a little bit of a slight, not burnout, but just a little bit of a overstimulated. So, and I haven't even done the Ravens breakdown of the NFL, the Ravens draft picks and the Commanders draft picks. We did episode with Sean Spencer with the Commanders. Shout out to Sean Spencer, but check out the content. You'll see that content soon. You'll also see some content on NBS Media for the Mystics. I do apologize. It's just been a lot to keep up with the last couple of weeks. Please like, comment, subscribe for all future content if you're not already on the channel. And we're going to pick up where we left off before, and I'm going to bring on, from part 1, our guest, Mr. Brenden Potts. Brenden, what's going on?
Hey man, I'm good to be back, and I'm ready for part 2. Really quick, I know we're gonna talk about them later. Shout out to all the fans in the Moda Center in Portland yesterday. This is recorded on a Monday. That just played their home preseason game on Sunday. I've never been part of a game environment where the team loses but exit the game in a loss on a standing ovation. So shout out to the fans in Portland. For a preseason game, you'll pack the house. And I'm way more excited for Saturday, knowing that these games count now. But I'm ready to go and talk about the rest of these teams.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about Portland a little bit, but we're going to pick up. We last left off in part 1 with the Los Angeles Sparks. We're going to pick up in this part with the Minnesota Lynx. With the Lynx, it's a bit of a transition. Most of us knew going into this offseason that team would not stick together because most of that team was free agency. Yes, Minnesota did win 34 games last year and did sweep Golden State to squander a 20-point lead against Phoenix. And then, we all know the infamous injury to Nafisa in game 3, and where we saw Cheryl Reeves go off. And not only that, the next day, if I remember correctly, the infamous ether, as people said, with Nafisa going off on the league. we all know mostly that this coaching staff with Cheryl, Eric Tebow's part of it, is stellar. Nafisa will not be back more than likely until probably beginning of June at best. She hasn't played since the 26th of September. So that was pretty much all of Unrivaled, if I remember correctly. But losing Alana Smith, losing Bridget Carlton in the expansion draft, Natisha Heidemann, Jessica Shepard. I mean, plus side is you did get Olivia Miles. Cheryl Reeves is back, but you did get Kayla McBride and Courtney Williams. You did get them to stay, but I think there's optimistic. I think there's things to be optimistic about. I think Olivia Miles is in my top 5 for Rookie of the Year this season, and especially with Lindsay Whalen on that coaching staff, so we really see how she grows. But the biggest thing is just to kind of see how this team will look as a whole, because I think it's going on now since Reeves has been there. I think it's 16, going on 17 years now. They missed the playoffs twice, and that was 2010 and 2012. I want to say that correctly. So you could call it retooling, but this looks like a rebuild. So I'll give you the floor. And I also that's so great.
Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
Also, Brenden, they did add the former MVP, Natasha Howard. Go ahead, Brenden.
Okay. I think another transaction I think you might have missed is they lost Natisha Heidemann to the Storm. I don't know if you got that as well. But oh, you did? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was thinking, because I feel like there's an NBA equivalent to this, just because of they're trying to stay afloat until Nafisa Collier comes back. And the first thought was this last Boston Celtics team. Obviously, Boston is up and down more talented than this Minnesota team with all that they lost. But I feel like it's kind of the same story. But they just lost a lot in the offseason, and I feel like this could be sort of a retooling, rebuilding year. I'm thrilled for Olivia Miles, as you said. I honestly, besides maybe Seattle, I could not think of a more perfect place for Olivia Miles to develop and work with Courtney as a 1-2 punch, and work with players like Kayla McBride, Nafisa as well, to learn the league and improve at her game. So they definitely hit a home run with that pick. But yeah, I don't know too much of what to make of this Minnesota team. If Nafisa comes back and she looks like herself, like her MVP self, I could see them getting a bottom tier playoff position. But I don't know what to make of this team, just with everything they lost, and the Nafisa injury is really a big question mark. Really, if she's going to come back fully healthy and back to her old self.
Yeah. I mean, losing 6 rotational pieces is tough, and it's not easy to replace. But I think when you get a former MVP and champion, Natasha Howard, and Nia Coffey, who I think is a good piece off the bench. Kayla McBride, I think, is a proven starter in this league. Courtney Williams is a proven starter in this league. I think they can make it up with certain pieces. I just think the biggest thing was, especially coming into this draft, they needed to address the shooting, because especially in the finals, I mean, Courtney had nothing in the tank. I mean, it was on E, and yeah. So, but it's gonna be interesting to see. Let's transition.
Really quick on Minnesota. Last thing, shout out to Cheryl Reeve, because everybody, yeah, they lost a bunch of players to free agency, but all of them got paid. And just shout out to all of them. I could not be happier for Natisha, for Alana, for Bridget, for all of these players. For yes, unfortunately they left, but they all got their bags. So shout out to Shari for developing them and preparing them for when this time would come. And they took advantage of it. So
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I mean, and that it's gonna be interesting to see, especially with the Jessica and Alana signings with Dallas. I'm curious to see how those two times will work. But let's move on to the Big Apple, New York Liberty, the super team 3. Is this 2.0, 3.0? I've lost count now. Because last year we get it. They started off with 9-0, and then injuries to their big three: JJ, Sabrina, and Stewie. They only played 234 minutes. I remember seeing that stat correctly somewhere. They did beat Minnesota in game 1 and then lost the next 2. Stewie played on a sprained MCL in that game 3. And then after that, Sandy was fired. Your favorite player, Yona Fibic, is back. Was re-signed with them. Satu Sabli signed with them. Benajlini Hamilton, who was out for the entire year with injury. Maureen Johannes, Rebecca Allen, Han Shu are also back. They did lose Kennedy Burke, obviously the free agency, who's in Connecticut. But I mean, this team, for the most part, Nara Sabli, obviously in Toronto, and Mamisa in free agency, and then obviously to Natasha Cloud, free agency. But I mean, this group should be better than what it was last year. Chris DeMarco, I mean, he is coming from Golden State with championship pedigree. But I'm going to be curious to see, like, your first year head coach, you have a experienced team, and how can you transition that in the year 1 with this offense? And I'm trying to figure out how could he help this group rediscover its identity, because especially on the offensive side of the ball, because they lacked at times in that area last year. So I'm curious to see how this looks. But I think the biggest thing also too is Satu is where does she fit with Stewie and JJ, particularly. But yeah, other than that, and they didn't really have to do much in this. They didn't really have much to do impact this draft. So I think, are the team to beat. But I think, again, games aren't won on paper. So
yeah, I think that's a big statement, is games aren't won on paper, and I think that goes towards I think it goes both ends of the sword with Satu Sabli, because she's been known for, as good of a player she is. She's injured quite a lot, and I feel like that's a bad thing to have. But on the other end of the sword, it's a good thing, to be in this situation, because, like in Dallas, for example, she needed to be the number 1 option. Even with Enrique, she needed to be the number 1 option, the go-to player, but you can't do that when you're hurt a bunch. So the de facto was Enrique. But now even with Phoenix, she doesn't need to be the top player on the team. She doesn't even need to be the second best player on the team. And they can still have success. And you saw that a lot last year. Now they capitalized off her production, but she doesn't need to be the de facto number one on Phoenix and now in New York. So let's say she gets hurt. Of course, I'm not wishing injury upon her or anyone, but let's say she does get hurt, and during the course of the season, then New York's going to be okay because they have Breanna Stewart and Jonquil Jones. Now, if 2 or 3 of those bigs get hurt at one time, that's a different conversation. But speaking of injuries, they're already starting out with some with Sabrina Ionescu missing the first 2 weeks, which is pissing Portland fans off a bunch because they come to New York, or they come to Portland next week. New York does. But yeah, I'm curious to watch them in person next week. We get a couple of meetings with them, so I'm curious to see how they operate and what Chris DeMarco's vision is for this team. But I'd say they're up there with Vegas for championship contention. And I'm curious to see who competes with them.
Sorry about that. I'm just curious to know, I really haven't seen anything if Satu has been cleared to play, but I've seen there's been pictures of they posted on their X page where she's in the gym taking up shots. But in terms of like contact, is she cleared for contact with the team? Because we all know the injury that she suffered and how their training staff in Phoenix handled that horribly. Yeah, part of me kind of feels like that was part of her decision in leaving Phoenix, but which ironically will transitions us into our next team, which I'll give you the floor on, is Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix coming off a finals appearance last year. I don't think they did too much in free agency. They lost Satu. They brought back a lot of their core in free agency, including Alyssa Thomas, Tawana Bonner, Clay Copper, Sammy Wickham too. I forget all of the moves, but they brought back the majority of the core. It's no coincidence that AT's nickname is the engine, because she is the engine that makes this team go. And when you have a player like AT, you can surround her with a whole bunch of talent, or a whole bunch of like good to great talent, and she's gonna make them even better. And I think that's a big thing to have. And with a player like Alyssa Thomas, you're immediately going to be a really, really good playoff team, maybe even a championship contender. And I don't know if that's in the cards. A championship, I don't know if they're going to get back to the finals this year. I'll just say it plain and simple, but they have a pretty good shot because they have Alyssa Thomas on their side. They brought back Sammy Wickham. I think that's one of the most underrated moves that they made because of her shooting. So that was a big acquisition. Tawana Bonner, I think, is a big move. Honestly, bringing back all of those guys on their side was big. Nick Yuen putting trust in Nate Tibbetts to bring him back, I think was big. I think it's Catherine Westbeld for I forget which Westbeld is on which team, but Catherine Westbeld unfortunately tore her ACL, so she'll be she'll be out for the season, which is a bummer. Funny enough, both Westbelds, I kind of wanted them in the expansion draft. Yeah, if I'm putting all my cards on the table, I'm not saying that Phoenix is going to go back to the finals this year, but I think they will be a really good playoff team, assuming everybody stays healthy. But yeah, nothing too much happened with the Phoenix Mercury except the loss of Satu.
I echo pretty much all those sentiments. The biggest thing is how do you replaces Satu scoring within the big three. She averaged 16 and 5, if I remember correctly. And then also losing Catherine, and then also too they bought out Kalani Brown, who I thought Nate Tibbetts should have played more in the finals, and he did not do that. I do hope, and I gotta look, but Marilyn Terrapin, you might know by the name of Yarden Garzone.
Yeah, they just cut her. They just cut her. I know. I interviewed her.
Thank you, Brenden. Thank you.
Yeah, I just interviewed her at the college All-Star game. She's a really good kid.
Thank you. You really had to just.
Hey, I'm disappointed too. She's a really good kid. I enjoyed talking to her. But I will to answer your concern on the scoring. I did hear from Iliev. I cannot pronounce his full name. But he covers the Mercury. I did hear from him that Nick Uren answered that point and kind of said it's going to be or he's looking for it to be a committee. So I'm also curious how they make up that scoring. But I'm sorry to drop the sad news on you about Yarden.
Yeah. Much obliged. Appreciate it. Also, too, I forgot also Salem Poffenbarger, Maryland Terrapin, with Minnesota. Looks like she'll make the opening day roster. Shout out to Sailor. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this team will look. Because especially last year, a Phoenix team that relied heavily on DB and Sammy Wickham. It's the depth. So it's gonna be curious to see what Nate Tibbetts will do with this team. So I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they get back to the finals. That's just me. We're going to transition into your squad, Portland.
Yeah, Portland Fire. Okay. So I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna get this out of the way. I'm gonna put it plain and simple. We saw what the Valkyries did last year, and with the GM.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait. Before you go, I know you're gonna go. I just want to say, welcome to the W. I'm happy for you. I know you live in Portland, Oregon. I mean, you live in Eugene. Doing big things. Get your local, your hometown. But can you please? I really do hope you'll talk about this and talk about Portland. The draft pick, Iyanna Martine, because
what kind of shit is that?
Yeah, I mean, just sorry, I'm there's a lot of thoughts to be thought right now. With Portland, I'll just get this out of the way. Everyone saw what Golden State did last year, and I'm sure this organization wasn't coming into this offseason looking to replicate what Golden State did last year. That's its own history, but they've obviously come into this offseason and said we are going to build our franchise for the future, and this is just step one of the process. Coming into the league, whatever happens this season, it's already going to be historic, because it's the inaugural season. It's the first time Portland's been back in the league since 2002. And so, like I said at the beginning, they came out with a ruckus crowd, so the support is already there. They brought in number one expansion draft pick Bridget Carleton from the Minnesota Lynx. They brought in Carla Late from the Golden State Valkyries, who has ties with the GM Vanya Chernovich. Haley Jones from the wings, Emily Anxler, and Shug Sutton from Nathan's Washington Mystics, who I also really like. Sarah Ashley Barker from the Los Angeles Sparks. I could go down the list of the entire expansion draft. And then besides picking Iona Martine in the first round, they got Frida Buhner in the second round, and then they traded for Sarah Williams in the third round with Connecticut, and she's from UConn. Iona Martine will not be coming to town this season. She'll be a draft and stash. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised by the pick just because of the international route that Portland is going and has shown that they're going. I'm more surprised that the organization thought she would fall. They were surprised that she fell to number 7. So I'm kind of more surprised by the fact that they were surprised that she fell that far. Also,
what? What? And you got to be kidding me.
And that's actually their words, not mine too. But in free agency they didn't really do much, which doesn't surprise me either. They got Meg Gustafson and, more importantly, Pancake to come to Portland. They got Carly Samuelson. Also, shoot, I forgot in the expansion draft. They got my favorite player, Louisa Geisel-Soder, from the Dallas Wings. So you can tell by these players, and if you do research on these particular players, that they fit with the head coach Alex Sarama and his constraints-led approach, which is a different learning style that basketball fans are used to, that regular basketball fans are used to, but more WNBA fans, because this type of a system isn't really that exclusive in the W, or hasn't really been this exclusive in the W. And I've been to a few practices where this approach is implemented. It's pretty fascinating. The different things I've seen, and I'm coming out with a article more on this later. But the different things I witnessed was, like, playing the arena stadium music during practices, during certain drills that are ran, and purposefully, and using like football pad. I can't remember exactly what their exact names are, but football pad, like, sticks to contest shots, like higher than just going for block shots, and just practicing shots with one shooting form to kind of get it ingrained in their mind, or in their routine. But just the different things that he's doing is pretty fascinating. Now, with that being said, they do need scoring. That's the thing that they really lack. But they do need scoring. That's the thing that they need to work on, that they lack. They do have a lot of injuries already. So just with, like, international play and whatnot, or conditioning, or what have it. So I'm pretty sure with a fully healthy roster, this team will be better than what they've already shown in the first 2 preseason games. But what I've seen in the first 2 games is a team that is going to struggle offensively, but I don't think they're going to be as bad of a defensive team as people think. I think this is a really, for the talent on their roster, I think they can be a really good defensive team. But that can only carry them so far. I will say this to end all of this. I would be very surprised if they won 15 games this season. I see their range more around 9 to 10 games this season, 9 to 10 wins this season. And in contention for the number one pick, which I hope will be I and a bunch of Portland fans hope will be Juju. But I'm just like everybody else in that organization, all the players, all the coaches, staff. I hate to lose, and I hate to see my teams lose. But this is a year where I don't expect us to be competitive, but that is okay because it's year one of a clear process that I am willing to buy into because mainly because the W is back in Portland and I'm ecstatic to be able to cover this team. And I hope that everybody here, I've already gotten boots on the ground for most of training camp, for most of practices. And I hope that everybody follows my coverage of this team. I'm pumped to be able to cover a team in my backyard. And yeah, I'm just, whatever happens this season is going to be historic because it's the Portland Fire's inaugural season. But with that being said, I don't expect them to be a playoff team or even, I expect them to contend for the lottery, and that's okay. So
Interesting. I'm going to be really watching closely how your team looks. And secondly, more importantly, I think it's highly unfair that you guys have the number one overall pick that is rigged. You guys don't deserve that number one overall pick. You didn't even earn it. That's last time I checked. You have to earn the number one overall pick. You just hand it on a silver platter. It's not fair. That's okay. You might get Hidalgo. You might get Ali.
Who knows? We could be good this year. We don't know. Am I putting all my cards on the table and saying we're going to make the playoffs? No, quite the opposite.
No, I'm just
actually.
kidding. No,
but
no. I was just talking about the number one overall pick. No, I think you guys would be all right.
No, watch us get the number one pick and pick another international player and pass up on Juju. That's what I'm afraid of.
No, I don't think you guys will be like that. No,
I don't think we will either.
No. I think you guys will be all right.
Yeah,
but we'll be interested to see like what that starting lineup will look like for sure.
Yeah, especially
I do like Maya Cardwell.
Especially when the injured players come back. I know Sarah Ashley Barker missed yesterday because she was sick. Emily Angsler sprained her ankle against Seattle, and I'm sure she'll. I'm sure she's close to coming back. I was told to ask about Shug Sutton, and I forget another player I was supposed to ask about. But the next opportunity I get, I'll ask about them. But
Carly Samuelson?
Carly Samuelson. Once we get back and healthy, I feel like this is going to be. I feel like last year, Connecticut was bad. No sugarcoating about it. Connecticut was bad. But with how bad they were actually a really good defensive team. And I feel like that's what Portland could be this year because these first two games, I've seen a really, really good defensive team, especially in the second half. The problem is they lack offensive weapons.
I agree. But also, too, like, there's only 3 players with actual WNBA experience. And that's Bridget Carlton, Megan Gustafson, and Carly Samuelson. So outside of that, the rest of this team is just let's just throw it at the wall and hope it sticks. So we'll see. Let's move on to Seattle. As of today, as I'm recording this video, the Seattle Storm have officially won the trade from 2 weeks ago. because Golden State cut cut the 16th overall pick, which now makes that look extremely, extremely weird. And getting Flage on draft day, yes, losing NECA, Gabby, Skylar, Erica Wheeler, Brittany Sykes in free agency. That's top five. Us, their top five scorers. That's what, almost 70 points, if I remember correctly. Seen that stat somewhere. Almost gone. But you have Dominique Malonga, Awa Fame, that I think that is your front court for years to come. Now, Brenden, I don't know if we talked about this the debrief where we talked about this rebuild. Now, if Seattle's patient, they don't need to contend right now because you can still build. Now, I still think you still have an incredible group of players. You got Natisha Heidemann in free agency. They got your girl in Seattle, Jade Melbourne, and Steffi Dolson. But, they re-signed Katie Lou Samuelson and Ezzy Magnagor. I think a lot of this is going to come off of, also to Jordan Horston is coming back. If I'm not mistaken, please correct me if I'm wrong, Nika Mule is out again.
I will correct you. She's in Portland.
Portland, thank you. I appreciate that.
But yeah, she is out. Yeah, you're correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. So it's going to be interesting to see what this Seattle team looks like. There's a lot of optimism for this team. I think from where they were last year, they were a shot away from eliminating Vegas. Because Brenden last year was like, all you need is one. All you need is one. And they almost had it. So it's interesting to see how this Seattle team looks. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I've talked with a couple of people who are fans of Seattle. By the way, they have all said they're going to miss my coverage, but that of course that place has a special place in my heart. But yeah, I've talked with a couple of people who are Seattle fans, and they've called this a rebuild, but it's going to be a really fun looking team despite them probably not going to be a playoff team this year. I'll tell you what, Flage makes them look like a really fun team because I watched her in person when they played the Fire. She just has that swagger to her game that I've just never really seen from a W player before. I could be wrong, but in terms of like seeing it from other players, but like she just has that swagger and she's such a fun player to watch. And I feel like she's just picking the WNBA game back, I feel like she's already implemented her game into the WNBA, which, if that makes sense. But yeah, Seattle. I don't think Seattle's going to be that good of a team this year, but it's okay. It's a rebuild. You're kind of resetting the franchise. Of note, also, this is Sonia Raman's first year as head coach. Shout out to her coming from New York. Really lovely person. I've met her a couple of times. Fun fact: she actually asked me where the media room was in Seattle, but yeah, Seattle, they'll be fine. They got one of the best players in the league on their team in Jade Melbourne, so they'll be fine. They'll be fun to watch, but but yeah, there's not too much more to say about Seattle.
Point taken. Let's move on to Toronto. Another expansion team. and this one should be interesting to watch. They didn't really do much. They got Brittany Sykes, Marina Mabry, Isabel Harrison, Aaliyah Nye, Kiki Rice with the 6th overall pick, Kia Nurse as well. So they made some signings. They made some good decisions. Monica Wright Rogers, former WNBA ball player, GM, hiring Sandy Rondello as the head coach. Getting Marina Mabry in the expansion draft actually was kind of the big one. They did offer Shakira Austin an offer sheet in which we matched it. Timmy Fanbele, they paid, I think, overpaid for her in my opinion. My only concern with that is that's where you kind of hope Naira Sabli kind of takes a step forward, because if Timmy's your only big, it's going to be, I don't know what to really expect this year. Because the only player outside of, in terms of posts, is I think it's the post. Isabel Harrison's the only player who's scored in double figures. I don't know what their plan is long term. Do they want to be competitive or not? So, I mean, hey, I curious to see what their vision looks like. But hey, welcome to the WNBA. They look they look pretty good. I saw they had some flashes against Connecticut in the preseason game a couple days ago. So
yeah, they're an expansion team, so you don't really know what their expectations are, or you can't really have too much expectations for them. I will say this free agency for both expansion teams was kind of exposed their intentions a little bit. With Portland, they're building for the future. That's okay. With Toronto, they came in and they said, we want to do what we can to compete for a playoff spot or build closer to a championship, but faster. Shout out to everybody who signed in free agency. Brittany Sykes, Isabel Harrison, those almost Shakira Austin too. Those players bought into the vision, or wanted to come to an expansion team. We didn't really see that with, I guess we saw it a little bit with Portland, but we didn't really see that with Golden State last year, because people weren't really sure of what this expansion team in particular was offering. Now they kind of do. Yeah, shout out to the expansion teams for being somewhat active in free agency. Do I think Toronto will be a playoff team? I think it's too early to say that right now, especially with what we've seen in the preseason. But they have a pretty good shot to make the postseason. But I think that record of Golden State being the only team to be over 500 and make the playoffs, I think that's pretty safe this year. I don't think that's going to be broken, at least this season.
I agree with that.
Do we get more? Do we get more teams in 2027? I can't remember.
I think we get 2.
I think it might be in 2028.
8. I think we just get 1. I think next year. I could be wrong.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Let's move on to the team of the hour. Yes, while you do that, because it's the great one's time, ladies and gentlemen. The Washington Mystics, okay, are coming. I want to make this extremely clear. Do not hop on the bandwagon now, because a lot of people criticize Sidney Johnson for how he drafted, especially this draft. A lot of people criticize Georgia Amore and how she would look, especially her playing the point guard position. Now everyone wants to appreciate Lauren Betts as a player, going, oh my gosh, I can't believe they let Lauren Betts go to Washington at 4. If you've watched this team last year, we fell short of the playoffs with 2 young all-stars. If you understand the team president, Mr. Michael Winger, he cut pretty much almost all the ties of the Tebow era. Mike and Eric, that started in 2013, and implemented a draft and develop strategy. Where did he get that from? He got that from Sam Presti because he was a part of Oklahoma City. Okay. Brittany Sykes and Leah Edwards were traded for draft picks. We finished 16 and 28. We went into the 2026 with 3 first-round picks for the second year in a row. Now, getting Kiki Arifin, 6'5", and re-signing and getting Shakira Austin. Re-signing her. Kiki playing on I think is a 3, but I think can play the guard. But I think Lauren Betts, I think Angela Dugalich and Cody McMahon and Cassandra Prosper, Rory Harmon, Little Paige Bugs. Michaela Onyeweide. There is a lot of optimism. This team is the youngest in the league. I think the average are 24 years old. And Michaela Onyeweide and Shakira also the only ones with experience. Now, there are 6 first-round picks in the last 2 years. And you look at those 6 picks, one thing that stands out there is they have tournament experience coming out of college. Now, we understand that going to the W is a whole different thing. But people have criticized Cody. People have criticized Kiki, Sonia, Georgia, and so forth. Now, we all know Georgia's coming off an ACL injury. Georgia is the key. Now, she learned a lot. She talked about it in the preseason, the preseason interviews, being an assistant type coach role, where she learned a lot of things from seeing it. Now, I think she is the point guard. She has quick handles. I think personally, I personally wanted Raven Johnson, because I think Georgia's more of a 2 guard than a point guard. Because if you let Raven play the point, let Georgia run the 2, play the 2, I think you have a little bit more leeway. Now, I get it. Guards that small at 5'7", they can struggle, and mixed results have shown in the W. Shakira Austin, I understand. This is going to be her. We're going into another with her. The best ability is available. However, Shakira is not a center. Shakira Austin is not a center. However, she is versatile. She is somebody who can put the ball on the floor with counter moves, who has a mid-range. She could do it when healthy. Ceiling is MVP All-Star, in my opinion. Same thing with Kiki. She's a power forward. Lauren is not overstepping or overtaking anyone's position. I think she complements them. I am highly optimistic because when it's all said and done, and the smoke is clear, give it about another 3 years, 2-3 years, especially when they address the shooting piece. Because the only issue that I have with this team right now is some shooting. The Mystics, you got yourself. We have ourselves a championship team in the nation's capital. Guaranteed. And on top of that, too, you've also addressed, which this is good. I can tell, and I'm not throwing shade, but when I make this statement of watching games, people, I can tell there's some that did not watch games because last year Washington truly lacked size and depth. Sidney Johnson did that with this draft. So we could criticize how he drafted, but he did address the depth. He did address the spacing and the floor and interior scoring. Did address that. It's going to take time. And again, pay attention, develop, and draft. So they're no, and like just like Portland, just like Toronto, I don't think Washington's in no rush. And I mean, I do think it's a little confusing that they did fire Jim Miller. But that's okay. Serious strategic differences. I think it's a little weird. Getting rid of JC Shona for the 2028 first round pick. But I mean, 3 first round picks out of 4 top 19 selections. And on top of that, we have 7 first round picks for the next 3 years. All is well in the nation's capital. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, when looking at the Washington Mystics, when looking at the Washington Mystics, you really gotta. I feel like the NBA comparison is the season after. I guess the season after Chris Paul was traded away from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because
I was about to say.
Yeah, because I or the season that they had him, really, because you could either go either or because this Mystics team is just loaded with draft picks, and I mean, as we've seen with the Thunder, like that's very valuable. And I feel like that's a very valuable way to build your franchise. I'm sure there's WNBA equivalents, but I'm bringing up the Oklahoma City Thunder because that's the most successful example. But yeah, this Mystics team has a real future, and they could be a really, really, really good team, like you said, in 2 to 3 years.
That's right.
I'm excited to watch Georgia Amore this season.
I didn't even talk about Roy Harmon.
I'm pumped that. Yeah, and Roy Harmon, she deserves to. Vic Schaefer is rightfully standing up for one of his players as one of the best players in the country, and not as recognized for it when she should be. And I like that you said Lauren Betts is going to compliment these players, or compliment these players, especially Kiki Ariafen, because they played with each other at Stanford, and she played with she was coached by Michaela Onyenwere, and obviously Angela Dugalich. But yeah, I mean, Sidney Johnson, now Washington has a sustained future, and now you have all stars. Now you have stars or players with star potential to build around. So they could be a really, really good team. You just gotta give it a couple more years. To answer the question that was asked earlier about upcoming expansion teams, Cleveland will expand into the league next year. They're going to join in 2027, and then obviously Connecticut moving to Houston to become the Comets. But I don't count that.
I don't really count that as an expansion move. I just count that as just moving the franchise.
No, yeah, really. That's it. Google said that, and Google never lies. But yeah, that's just the answer to the question that was asked earlier.
Yeah, agreed. But I mean, other than that, man, I mean, I'm excited. And just for the record, I do want to also brag. Because I want to continue to brag. I got 2 out of 3 of the first round picks correct. And my mock draft with Lauren and Cody. I was not expecting Angela Dugalich, but that's okay. I wanted Raven Johnson, but that's okay. But Cody, I think will do. Especially Cody McMahon, I think will do just fine with us. She is kind of like I consider her like our Maisha Hines Allen, but I think a more improved version. No shade, but again, if you look at the players that he drafted, each one does something differently and brings something different to the table. So, just saying, I think Sydney may know a thing or two about scouting and different things like that, but hey.
Also, shout out to Cassandra Prosper. If there's any NBA fans that watch this, Cassandra Prosper is the sister of Olivier Maxence Prosper, who used to play for the Dallas Mavericks. Now he plays for the Grizzlies. So shout out to Cassandra Prosper.
And a lot of people didn't like that pick, but she's actually adjusting well. Surprising, she's doing really well, and I'm happy for that. Yeah. I'm happy for her. Other than that, man, all is well. And we won yesterday. Beating the Atlanta Dream. And today's Cody McMahon's birthday. Happy birthday, Cody! So everything is just looking bright in DC. There's going to be some struggles. We know that, but when you have 7 first-round picks for the next 3 years, and we could potentially get Juju, maybe a Hannah Hidalgo. All is well. All is well.
3 teams after you said Portland rigged the whole draft to get Juju.
Watch. There's gonna be some rigging. There's gonna be some rigging. No, I'm just kidding. I did before we do goes. Natasha Cloud was signed today by the Chicago Sky. I want to say this, and I know a lot of people. I want to give everybody a shout out to Reba, a few other people. They've talked about this on X, but I wanted to dispel this notion that Natasha was being blackballed by the W. There are players that are highly outspoken about because of social politics, and let's call it what it is. Last year, Natasha, how she performed in New York offensively, plays a role. Not just New York. I think how she handled the Connecticut thing, requesting a trade, not even stepping a foot in Connecticut. I thought that was not professional. How she left Washington. I mean, completely. I think the way she shitted on Mike Tebow, I think that was just that was something. Then allegedly she moved from one agent to another. My question for this is who is starting? How does this impact who the touches on the ball? Because I think you have the same. I think what you have was already enough. So, because I know they cut Maddie Westbell, Haley Van Lith. So, yeah, I'm curious, but yeah, y'all, that girl, that lady was that respectfully. Natasha was never blackballed. And then let's also keep it real. Like, if that's the case, Tina Charles is being blackballed. But also, too, like, Tina Charles is a prime example of a player whose style of play never grew with the league. And also, too, Tina's going to be, I guarantee you, one of those is going to have find a way on the team come All-Star break or midway through the season. And she should be on the WNBA roster. So, but that's the case. A lot of these players should be on the roster, but they're not on the roster for a reason. And a lot of it, and the way how people jump to her because she's out high as well because of politics is nonsense. So, yeah, that's just gonna get my thoughts off. Do you have anything you want to say?
No, I'm happy to see Natasha Cloud back in the league. She's been really outspoken about the CBA negotiations as well. She's a really outspoken player. I've interacted with her a couple of times, both as media, as a fan, and as a fan. She's been nothing but nice to me. Over or extra emphasized because she's been like super sweet to me every time I see her. So I'm glad that a person like that is back in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I've interviewed Natasha one time. That was a media availability. I wish I had that clip. That was where she was on when she was here. She was really nice. But because also too when we put stuff out like that, that really is not a good look for the growth of the league. That's just how I feel. And And then also too, what my one other final thought is, I am a fan. I love the fact that we're expanding to other cities for the W. I think we are expanding a bit too fast. Let's expand the rosters.
Now, Portland's got a team, so you're fucking on thin ice, buddy. But
no, I'm saying
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we focus on the rosters, because you can't tell me we have a lot of talent to fulfill all these teams. Can't tell me. So
yeah.
But again, I'm looking forward to a great 2026 season. I hope everybody has a healthy and prosperous season. It's going to be great WNBA basketball. Brenden, again, do great things in Portland with the issue with the fire. Winsidr, definitely leave everything in the description below. So you can follow Brenden, follow his work. You can also follow my work on teambsmedia.com. As well, for this season, I'll be covering the Mystics. This will be season number. Let's see, Kira's coming. This will be season number 5. Since Kira's been in the lead now, so yeah, should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content.
Yeah.
Brenden, do you have anything coming down the pipe?
I do have an article or a story coming out. Should be before opening day. I will put it out there that it's it's an exclusive article to our Patreon. Our Patreon only costs at least $3 a month for articles and stuff like that. But so if you want to spend a little money to read some of not just my work but other writers that we have doing Patreon content, it would really be appreciated. The money goes back to all of our writers. It's distributed to all of our writers at the end of each month. So that'd be really appreciated if you gave that a read whenever it comes out. Yeah, this is my second full year of like seriously covering the W. I'll admit that for the last like 2 or 3 years I didn't know what the F I was doing, but this is my second year fully going in depth and covering the W. My first obviously was covering the Portland Fire, and I'm just excited to be a part of a historic season. Really excited to be a part of something where 10 or 15 years down the line, if Portland sets itself up to be a championship contender, I can look back and be like, I was here since day one. So I'm blessed to be in that position. Hopefully it doesn't take 10 to 15 years. But that's another story for another, that's another topic for another podcast. I will say that we're recording this on May 4th. Happy Star Wars Day, by the way. I will say, May the 4th be with you too. But I will say from this day to opening day, May 8th, for Portland, it's May 9th. These are going to be the worst 4 days to be a W fan because of all the cuts that are going to be made. Because of all the cuts that are going to be made. You're already seeing some of them with Haley Van Lith. For me, it's Harmony Turner getting cut again by Connecticut. That was a big one because I know how much this game means to her. Like we said earlier, Yardon Garzon from Phoenix. We haven't seen too many of that or too many of those from Portland, but I'm not looking forward to seeing those cuts, just because I know how hard those players work, how hard these players in the W work to earn a spot. I do echo that statement. Expand the league, but also expand the rosters. Keep an eye on those developmental spots that they've added this season, because I think a lot of players are going to I'm pretty sure the process is they get waived and then they get added to the developmental spots. If they're not already, because for Portland, Frida Buhner's already was signed to a developmental spot. So if they are waived, there is still hope that they could be signed to a developmental spot, either on their own team or on another team. But with that being said, these next 4 days are going to be very, very brutal, or next 3 days, because rosters finalized on the 7th. These next 3 days are going to be very brutal in terms of seeing the news of these cuts, and it's even more brutal for the people who have to do them, which is why I don't envy being in their position. So just keep that in mind. But man, Friday is going to be an exciting day. Saturday is going to be an even more exciting day for me because we got the WNBA opening day. And it is a day that that 4 or 5 months ago I never thought we would get to, and we're finally here, and I'm so excited.
I agree. So yeah, definitely. Something interesting. That should be fun. Can't wait. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. I'll put everything from you. Can follow Brenden on Twitter. X. So follow his work on Winsidr. Follow me on X as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please like, comment, subscribe. The road to 500 subscribers and then the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost there. We should support, and also to stay tuned for future content on the channel. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you soon. Have a good night. Peace. Stay up.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.